all of the rainbow here at this event. You are my sisters, and some of you are my brothers. I'm very happy to be here. Your theme, it's your season. What better theme could we have that it's your season? Now, you already were beautiful. You already were brilliant. So what else do we need to know? But nevertheless, it's your season. And we want to congratulate all of you for being here today in the 20th anniversary of the Southern California Women's Health Conference. And now, as you know, for those who are online, the Man Cave, where men are learning how to be smart like women, where men are learning to be smart like women. Now, since I am learning from women how to be a smart man, I would like to introduce 3 extraordinary women if they're still in the house. And matter of fact, if they would just stand so you can see their beauty and their brilliance. First, I would like to introduce my colleague on the Pasadena City Council, Felicia Williams. Felicia, are you in the house? Felicia is right there in that beautiful emerald green dress, rocking it. Felicia, a Stanford graduate, a finance expert, a new colleague of mine on the Finance and Audit Committee. Then I would like to introduce an extraordinary survivor. An extraordinary survivor. Her name is Michelle Bonarise. She is the city attorney and city prosecutor for the city of Pasadena. Will you stand, Michelle? Now, she didn't know I was going to do this, but it takes a brilliant on top of brilliant woman to survive in the politics of Pasadena. She happens to be a Stanford graduate as well. So give it up for Michelle Bonarise. Now, I told you women rock, right? Well, in the city of Pasadena, we just so happen to have a deputy chief of police who is a woman. Her name is Cheryl Moody. Now, Cheryl, are you here? Oh, you didn't come in uniform today. But I know you packing. I know you packing. I feel safe. I said I feel safe. Now, so there won't be any mistake. So there won't be any mistake. Hear me and hear me well. She is the deputy chief of police. My dear friend, John Perez, the chief of police, has announced his retirement. The fair and just thing to do, just like we did with John Perez when he was the deputy chief of police, we put him in as the interim. The fair and just thing to do is to put a sister as the interim deputy chief of police in the city of Pasadena. That's the only fair thing to do. You heard it from me. And if there's any shenanigans, we need 5 votes to make sure that happens, and you can make sure that we get those 5 votes. Hear me? All right. So I don't want to say too much because there are other folks who are going to be speaking, but I want to say how beautiful you are. Because yes, it took a man and a woman, but a man cannot have a baby. And we are grateful for your position in the family, even if you don't have children, your position in the family in building the health of a community. I don't need to say anymore. You all know you rock. You look good. As I said, you are brilliant and we love you. Have a wonderful rest of your conference. The food was good. I would have made it maybe some fish, but that's okay. That's okay. It was still par excellence, par excellence. Now, last thing, as all of you already know, you don't need anybody to tell you. I said you don't need anybody to tell you. Women make what? The world go round. One more time. Women make the world go round. Now, you may say, why did he say that? Because I just happen to have 7 sisters and a mama from Mississippi. See y'all. Thank you. God bless.
Let's hear it for the council member. It's amazing he has that much of a voice considering he grew up with 7 sisters. It's amazing they even let him get a word in edgewise, right? What a great speech. Whatever he's selling, I'm buying. Whatever he's telling me to vote for, I'm doing. And yes, truer words have never been spoken. Men can't have babies. I don't know. You know what? Yay, we won that one. Okay. Let's go over what we have next for you, which is such a wonderful opportunity to hear from a really, really engaging woman and a speaker about a fascinating subject. I am talking about the one and only Dr. E Faye Williams. And before she comes out, I want to just tell you that she's going to discuss her newest endeavor, and she's had many of them, but she has written a book called Wake Up and Stay Woke, Running for Life. The book tells many stories about Dick Gregory's life. Y'all familiar with Dick Gregory? Legend, comedic legend, political activist. What a storied life. And really, you know, the young comedians today are really where they are because of where Dick Gregory stood for all of those years. But let me tell you more about the woman behind the book. Dr. Ife Williams is an accomplished attorney. She's an entrepreneur, a civil leader, an activist, and oh, get this, she's earned 3 PhDs. 3. Yeah, 3. Take that. Also a law degree from Howard University. So if the 3 PhDs weren't enough, she had to go get a law degree and show us all how that's done. She's worked for legal counsel for the United States Congress and for the local, state, and federal governments on all levels. She's been an EEOC mediator. The list just goes on and on. But I love this. Since 2005, she's served as the president and the CEO of the National Congress of Black Women. We are, woohoo, that's right. We are proud. We are honored. And please give a warm, warm welcome to the stage, Dr. E Faye Williams.
Thank you. Yes, John. I know Lena's a very smart sister, and she told you to say all those nice things. Otherwise, I know you would have said, this is a man's world. However, your sister taught you it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or a girl. Woo. I want to give a little shout out to Sister Lena Kennedy, to her brother, the Honorable John Kennedy, who was my law school classmate, to Ms. Judy Matthews, who is chair of the chapter of the National Congress of Black Women here in this area, and of course, the San Gabriel Valley. I also want to give a shout out to my board chair of the National Congress of Black Women, Ms. Lynn Dimely of the famous Dimely family. Also to all of the National Congress of Black Women members who are here today. And I just learned something who would be here today, and that is my publisher from Noah's Ark, Mr. Laval Bell, who published my book, The Dick Gregory, Wake Up and Stay Woke. And I also want to acknowledge some sisters I just met, the women in red, Delta Sigma Theta, my sorors. All right, I just want to say a little bit about the National Congress of Black Women. And we are an organization that was founded by Dr. C. Dolores Tucker, who did wear the colors I'm wearing today, and those of you who wear them will know what I mean. This is pink, by the way. All right, I also want to acknowledge all of you who are here today, because you are teaching that service, health, beauty, and empowerment can exist in the same room. That's what all of you are together. And so I thank you for being here for this wonderful 20th anniversary celebration. Many of the members of our organization are people you may know. The late Cicely Tyson, who was my best friend, and also Ruby Dee, Coretta Scott King, and so many others. All of the members of the Congressional Black Caucus have either been honorary members or paid members of the National Congress of Black Women. We honor both men and women. We honor what we call good brothers. And this year we honored, although it was a sad occasion, Michael K. Williams. His last words, to our knowledge, were spoken to the women of the National Congress of Black Women. We've honored Stacey Abrams, and we've honored many, many more women like Latasha Brown and others who are doing things to make all of us proud as women. Our services include what we call College for Kids. We take the little ones and we start them early. We teach them all the things that they can be when they grow up in life. We have to start early with our children. We have to be their mentors. We have to be their role models so that they know more than being a dancer, a singer, or a football player. Those are okay, they pay well, but we also need people who give service in our community, and that's what we teach our young people. We have another group that we do pretty much the same thing with, called College for Teens. We give scholarships to young people who might not otherwise be able to go to college. And we're very proud of that because we do that all over the country. Our national office is located in Washington, D.C., and we've done many wonderful things there too. We noticed many years ago that there was no Black woman in the halls of the United States Congress. And so we worked for 15 years it took us to do it. But now Sojourner Truth stands proudly in the halls of the United States Congress. And now I want to call upon you today for another woman we're going to honor with your help. And I ask each of you to go to our website at nationalcongressbw.org, nationalcongressbw.org, because there is no woman in this country who has been honored with a federal holiday. The next one will be Rosa Parks, December 1st. We're going to work with your help. We're going to make that happen. We, of course, work on voter registration and education. We help to influence policies all across, not the country, but across the world. As a member of the World Conference of Mayors Board of Directors, I work with mayors all across this country, in Africa, in London, in Taiwan, many other places, as they work together to make their cities better. Now, I was told that I could talk about my book, Dick Gregory, Wake Up and Stay Woke. And we're talking about this book at a time when there are people out there who are trying to make fun or laugh about being woke. We in our community know what being awoke means because we've worked so hard. Many of our people died to make things happen for all of us, not just Black people, but everybody. And yet there are people who would laugh about being woke for terrible things in this society. We know what being woke means because if we don't wake up and stay woke, many of the things that our ancestors worked for, many died for, are being taken away from us. As women, we know that there are efforts to take away choice from women about what they do with their bodies and many other things. As Black people, we know that voting rights people are trying to take away those voting rights. And in Congress, they will not vote for a simple thing as to help to make voting easier for all of our people. We must be involved. Dick Gregory was my good friend. Everyone called us running buddies because we were seen together so often working on so many issues across this country. Now, one of the questions people always ask is, you know, there are a lot of books out there about Dick Gregory, and I'm sure many of you have read some of them. There are documentaries out there, and I hope you've seen the latest one called The One and Only Dick Gregory. I do have a bit part in that documentary, so I hope you will see it. You can get it on Showtime on demand. You know that there are a lot of movies made about Dick Gregory. So they say, well, what is it that's different about what you wrote about Dick Gregory? And I tell them, you've asked the right question. Many of the people who did those films, who did those documentaries, who wrote books about him, they had to research it to know what kind of man he was. My book is written from the perspective of what I did with Dick Gregory. And you will find some things that are very sad there. You will find some things that are funny. As you know, he was a comedian. But I wanted people to know that Dick Gregory was more than a comedian. Many of you may remember Bahamian Diet. Many of you may remember his walk from California back to Washington, D.C., and from New Orleans to Baton Rouge. Many of you may remember the time that he spent in prison in Iran to help to bring some of our people home. But let me tell you, he was a nutritionist, and you may have seen that shoulder bag on his one shoulder and one on the other, and a few that he was dragging along, and anybody he could stop to help him take those bags. There were vitamins in there. There were news articles there. There were research papers there. He could tell you in a minute what to do for any ailment you thought you had. He believed in preventive medicine. He believed there was a way for us to take care of our health. How many of you have met him walking somewhere and he told you about the importance of drinking water? Many of us forget how important it is to drink water. You will find that in this book. Those of you who knew about Bahamian Diet some years ago will also find in this book the newest one that he had just completed, the newest product that he had just completed before he passed away. You'll find the information on optimal health in this book. And I know that Judy and the members of the San Gabriel chapter have some outside, so I hope that you will want to get them. And I made the book affordable for everybody because Dick Gregory would come back and get me if I made it impossible for the people who should read this book to read it. And so I want to talk a little bit about who this man was. He was born and grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. And he was very poor, as many of us were as we were growing up. In fact, he would tell you if he were here today, he was so poor that if a rat ran across their floor, they were just taking a shortcut to somebody else's house because they didn't have nothing to give the rat. There was always a purpose for what he said. He was an activist in high school. He made it known that there were no black companies that helped to get those gowns we used at graduation and that all-important class ring that we got. Some of us knew that we were never going to college. We were only going to be graduating from high school, so it was important for us to have that class ring. And yet, there were no minorities, there were no people of color, I should say, that helped to get those things to them. Therefore, they made no money on them. So that was one of the first things he protested in high school. And then he ran track when he was in high school, at Sumner High School, for those of you who may be from St. Louis. And he just knew there was no way for him to be going to college. He was just there basically to run track. And he would always win. But at the end of the year, if you remember those little books they used to have where they put all the champions of everything in those books and they made, big of it, it was important in the community, his name was never there. And when he asked why, his coach told him, you have to run against white boys to get your name in the book. Didn't matter that he was running faster than they were in the black league. And so when he graduated, he hadn't thought about going to college because he knew that he didn't have the grades to go. But fortunately, there was a coach who cared enough about him to help to get him in Southern Illinois University. He went to Southern Illinois, and he was reluctant to go. But when he met the dean, he told him, I'm not going to take any tests to get in school because I know I can't pass the test. No one had told him he could. But the dean said to him, I'm going to give you a chance. I want you to go out there and I want you to do your best, and I want you to do your best in class. But let me tell you, if you don't do well in class, you're going to have to get off the track team. So that was motivation enough for him to do well in his classes. And that was a dean who cared more about him than just his coming to Southern Illinois to run track. And so he found himself not able to go out into the city of Carbondale, Illinois, with his teammates. But instead of making them feel bad, he would always make up an excuse as to why he wasn't going out. Blacks were not allowed to go into restaurants in those days, so he couldn't go with his teammates when they went out to have a beer, to have a steak or what have you. He wouldn't have eaten steak anyway. He was meatless. So he ran into a father and a little boy one day. The little boy had a disability. And the father said, Mr. Gregory, would you sign this for my son? He's one of your favorite fans. He would love, this would just make him feel so good if you allow him to have your, let you sign his book. Well, neither the father nor Mr. Gregory had a pen or a pencil at that time. So Mr. Gregory said to the father, well, if you go over there in that store, and ask them to borrow a pen or a pencil, I'm sure they would let you have it. He came back with the pencil, and Mr. Gregory signed it. The little boy was so thrilled. Now, as Dick walked away, he said, I just bet he's saying uppity, that word that we don't like to hear, but the one he said he got paid $1 for every time somebody said it. He said, I bet he said he's uppity, and why couldn't he go in there and get that pen or that pencil? But the point is, he knew that he would not have been given the pen, so he didn't go there. He then had to go into the military. When he went into the military, he had no intention of following all those rules, all that discipline that you've heard people talk about over Veterans Day yesterday and still talking about today. But he went anyway because young men, went in the military then. Didn't matter that they were peace activists or what they were called into the military. So he decided he was going to be a jokester. He was just going to have fun while he was there. One day, he decided that he would get into this big pot in the dining hall. That was his duty to, what do they call it, the mess hall. So he got into this big pot, and the manager had tried to get him to get out, but he would just go in there and rest, sleep, whatever. He was not in there to do any work. Then the colonel came by one day and saw him in this pot. He said, boy, what are you doing in that big pot? He said, well, sir, you see, they told me that they were running short of chopped beef here in the restaurant, so I thought I would just help them out by, being the chopped beef. So the colonel said, young man, you come into my office to see me. He came to the office. He walked in. He didn't salute. He sat down on the couch. Colonel is just shaking his head like, I do not believe this young man. But he said, I want you to go down to the special events, or those of you in the military have been, and you know exactly what it's called, special services, I believe. Go down to, you go down to special services. And since you think you're so funny, I want you to be on this show, and you better be funny or I'm going to court-martial you. So he went down to the club. He won the contest the first night. He got sent back the second night and the third night and whatever, and he always won the contest of being funny. So now, When he's ready to get out of the military, when they are ready to let him go, that too was something he decided to do that's a little different from what most young people do when they go in the military. They said, okay, well, what shall we give you as your place that you're returning home? He said he hated St. Louis. By this time, his mom had passed away, and he didn't want to go back to St. Louis. So he just put down Carbondale, Illinois, put down Southern Illinois University, which was unusual. Most people have a home that they're going to. But he got there, and after being there a while, he just decided this college stuff is not for me. So he had to think of something honorable to do to leave college. While in the military, he had met Nancy Pelosi's brother, Frank. So he and Frank cooked up a little scheme. I'm not going to tell you everything in the book. You got to buy it in order to know some of the stuff. I'm just telling you a little bit about it. But anyway, Frank and Dick cooked up a scheme. At that time, Frank was, his father was mayor of Baltimore, Maryland. So they decided that a letter would be written, a telegram at that time actually would be written, and they would send it back to the college to Mr. Gregory. And the telegram basically said, come to Baltimore, have a job for you, $25,000. Of course, at that time, $25,000 was a lot of money even for white people, you know, but he was being offered $25,000. So when the telegram was delivered to him, he just kind of threw it aside like it was no big deal. And everybody was so excited that he'd gotten it. Even the president of the college, he showed it to the president, he showed it to the dean. He finally decided to show it to everybody on campus, and they were just applauding him, not knowing that the telegram had come from right there in Carbondale. They had made it up through the telegraph office right there in Carbondale, and there was no such job waiting there. He went on to be, as you know, a comic. And most people knew him as a comic, but he was so much more, which is the reason I decided I would write this book, because having spent so much time with him, I understood that he was so much more. First of all, he cared so much about women. Nobody knew that he did that, but I remember since I have been president of the organization, which has been 16 years, until the day that he left this earth, wherever he was in the world, he made it a point to come back and to be there and talk to the women as long as they wanted to talk. And he always said that the two strongest forces in this world are the Black woman and the Black church. And of course, he recognized that there were many other women who joined with Black women to do magnificent things. So you can say the strongest force on this earth are women. And of course, those of us who go to church would know how important that is to our lives. But he was always there to help. As a matter of fact, my organization, the National Congress of Black Women, named the award that we give to men the Dick Gregory Good Brother Award. There is so much. I got thrown off because of the time change. You know, I was supposed to come on at 12:44, but I suppose someone will let me know when my time is up. But, you know, Mr. Gregory was one of those people who grew up with almost nothing, and yet he made something of himself. I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember when he got started in comedy and how he got started. When he was invited to come to the, well, he was on all the shows. They had Sullivan's Show and many others. But when he was first invited to be on one of the big shows, he turned it down. And the reason he turned it down, he said, because he had never seen a Black person sit on the couch. So he hung up the phone when he got this big call, and they continued to call him back. And ultimately, he agreed to go on. And as a result, he got invited to do a show one night, and he was doing so well. He was speaking to this group of Southerners. And as you know, he told a lot of jokes, a lot of stories about Southerners. You'll all probably have heard of when he went down south to work in the civil rights movement, that he walked into a restaurant and sat down, And the waitress came over and said, "Sir, we don't serve colored people in here." He said, "Good, I don't eat them either. Bring me a whole fried chicken." So that was the kind of thing he did to teach people who were racist or wanted to be a lesson. And then in walks these big cops. And when they walked in, they come over and they basically say to him, "Anything you do to that chicken, we gonna do to you." He picked up the chicken, he kissed it on his rear end. So those were are you telling me we got to move on? Okay. I am very conscious of time, even though I got thrown off with, I go from what to what. But he was able to do that. And it's important that we remember that he was a human rights activist. He didn't just work for Black people's rights. What he was doing was working for the rights of all people. And I hope you will remember that today. He had friends all over this world. And of course, he would do many things. And I can remember many of the things he said, whether he was teaching it to me personally or not, but he would say that God and fear do not occupy the same space. So many times people ask me, well, how did you go to Iraq? How did you go to Haiti? How did you go to all these places where guns were drawn on you? Because I have been caught up in the sea trying to prevent wars in the Arabian Sea, held on the water 20 days after having already been on there 20 more days. And I was chosen as the leader of the group. Well, I'm afraid of guns. I tell you, I say I have to excuse that when he talks about fear and God do not occupy the same space, but guns should not be there either when they tell me that. Otherwise, I've gone into many situations that were dangerous. I remember some years ago when we were caught up in the sea, and one of my mom's neighbors said, "Did you see your daughter on television? She was holding this gun." Well, I wasn't really holding the gun, Mother, but the gun was pointed toward someone that was near me, and my hands were up. So I was trying to avoid being shot. I was cooperating that day. But I don't always do that. Mr. Gregory and I did so many things together. I can remember our driving down streets in any city. We'd see people who were picketing. It could be they were picketing for higher wages. It could be anti-war. It could be voting rights. It could be whatever it was. We'd come back, get out of the car, come back to the group and ask, "What are you picketing for?" And almost always, it was about something of concern for us, something about humanitarian things, something about human rights, voting rights. See, people who got all that stuff don't have to picket. It's always good when they join us and picket, but they don't have to do it to get those rights. But Mr. Gregory and I always recognized when it was our time to go out and to picket. So we would picket anybody who needed to be picketed. It didn't matter who they were, how big their company was, how important they were in the town, or what have you. We would just simply find out what they were picketing for. We'd go back to the car, open the trunk, and get the sign out, because we always had a sign for every good cause in the trunks of our cars. And that's what I liked about him. He was never afraid to work for the betterment of all mankind and all womankind. And as a young boy, he decided that it was his responsibility to help others. He would, even as a little boy who didn't have shoes to wear often, just wrap his feet in newspaper, old newspaper, anything to go out in the cold weather. At 11 years old, he was working on jobs that men much older work, because he would up his age and pretend that he was older so that he could work to help his mother, who had to take care of 6 children. And so I feel that Dick Gregory is a person that all of us need to know more about. We need to remember some of the things he taught us, some of the things that he said, other than remembering him as a comic. When WPFW radio, an FM station, the Pacifica station in Washington, D.C., asked me to do a radio program shortly after Mr. Gregory left us, I said yes. I said yes, but under the circumstance that you will allow me to name the program in remembrance of Dick Gregory, called Wake Up and Stay Woke. And so I invite all of you to listen to WPFWFM 89.3 some Wednesday morning. I know it's early in the morning for you, but that's y'all's fault for living out here. The program is on at 10 o'clock Eastern time, and I hope you'll join us. I've had many people from this area on the program, and I know there are many people here today who have wonderful things that they're exhibiting or that they've talked about. Feel free to call me and get a space on the program, because back east we can learn things from the West Coast too, you know. We don't mind being up, you know, early in the morning or whenever we have to, because there's always something going on in Washington. When I come to California, and I used to live here, so I kind of know what it's like to live here, I would get up early, and so I know that you can do it when there's something worth, you know, getting up for. Also, when Barack Obama became president, I felt the need to be involved, and I was ultimately promoted to Commissioner for Higher Education and for Scholars. And I was very proud to serve in that capacity. I've always served in a whole bunch of capacities because my mother taught her 7 little girls and 2 little boys that we could be anything we wanted to be, so long as we were willing to pay the price. I also had the honor of going to Grambling University in Louisiana as my undergraduate school, which is where I made Delta Sigma Theta. Coach Eddie Robinson, that people worldwide know, he always told us the same thing. You can be anything you want to be, so long as you're willing to pay the price. And so I'm proud of the fact that Dick Gregory was known as my running buddy, as my best friend. And those of you who are listening, wherever you are, if you're unable to get the book here at this event today, it's on Amazon.com. And I am so pleased that I was invited to be here today, not just to talk about the book, but to talk about some of the things that Dick Gregory said and did that you ought to know about. I've had a life which has been difficult in many ways. I grew up in Louisiana. Yes, my older sister doesn't like for me to say it, but yes, I did have to pick cotton when I was a little girl. And all of it, every experience I've ever had, no matter where I have lived in the world, it has taught me something important. And one of the things that I know as I write every week as a journalist, even your papers here in this area carry my articles. And I wrote one this week called, it's about being woke, wake up and stay woke. I hope you'll have a chance to read it, because as I said earlier, there are people who are making fun of the word woke. We in the African American community know what wake up and stay woke means, because so many things I worked on with Dick Gregory are being taken away, their efforts to take it away, not just from Black people, but from all righteous people in this world. And if God has blessed us with an education, with an ability to do something, then we have a responsibility to work and know above all that if you do not write the history of our people and what's going on out there today, then the tales of hunting will always talk about the hunter and not about the people who did good things to bless people, to help people, and secure the rights that our nation has promised us for so long. I think I've told you enough to at least interest you who may not have known Dick Gregory, that he's someone you should know. And yes, I did put a few jokes in the book because he could tell some good jokes. There's some that I can't really speak the salty language that he sometimes spoke, but just overlook that and know that there are a lot of pearls in Dick Gregory, Wake Up and Stay Woke. I thank you. God bless you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Well,
I don't know about you, but that just woke me up. How you feeling, everybody? Isn't she amazing? Okay, yeah. First of all, you have to know that God is laughing because Dick Gregory is now in heaven, so it's a much funnier place. But I just have to give it up for Dr. E Faye Williams. She may have 3 PhDs, she may have a law degree, but when you hear her speak, she is just so relatable and so wonderful. I thought that was just fantastic. And if you love Dr. Williams, we're going to love our next speaker as well. It is Victoria Pacheco. And before I bring her up too, I want to just give you a little bit of background. She's a registered dietitian who works at the Community Outreach Department at Methodist Hospital. Now, she works with a variety of patients to provide them nutritional counseling that include clients with diabetes, with heart disease, with cancer. She helps people with weight loss. And you know, one thing that really struck out to me is where it says that she teaches monthly diabetes classes at Methodist Hospital and provides nutritional education and screening at community events. My mother had diabetes. She had the insulin-dependent diabetes. And God rest her soul, I lost her a couple of years ago, and the cause of death was heart failure or kidney failure. There's a long list. But if you know and love someone who suffers from diabetes, I know what took my mother away from me. It was diabetes. Diabetes wrecks the body. And for someone in the position of of Victoria Pacheco to really help people kind of right the wrong and help them live healthier lives is just such an amazing accomplishment. And so I can't wait to hear more from her. Just a little bit more about Victoria, though. She graduated from Cal State Long Angeles, with a bachelor's and a master's degree in nutrition. And she earned a certificate of adult weight management. She's going to be my new best friend from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. Please welcome with a warm, lean applause, Victoria Pacheco. Victoria, come on up.
Thank you, everyone. They should be putting up my slides on so you can kind of see where what I'm talking about here today. So I wanted to talk about boost your health with nutrition. And definitely today, first of all, I want to say I'm honored to be presenting here today to you. And I just want to say thank you to, I work for Methodist Hospital, and I want to say thank you to our big boss, Cliff Daniels, who a lot of you know, who is a great supporter of this conference. And so I'm happy to be speaking to you today. With that being said, we are thinking a lot today about our immune system and how our immune system is holding up these days with the pandemic going on. So I will talk a little bit about some of the brief overview of the immune system, discuss the factors that challenge the immune system, I'll talk a little bit about what we call the microbiome and how does that play into our immune system, and then talk a little bit about vitamin and mineral supplementation also. A couple other objectives is to talk about stress and how stress is impacting our immune system today, and look at some various ways that you can boost your own immune system, and then finally identify some ways to manage stress. So as you know, our immune system is working hard right now, and it is working on virus, bacteria, and is trying to provide protection against these different types of things that are coming our way into the body. In terms of diet and immune function, I wanted to mention that your immune system is on constant alert always. And we have something called adaptive immunity, and we also have something called acquired immunity. The adaptive immunity is that which we already have. It's kind of already established in the body. And then the acquired immunity is the one that we sort of get from the outside in. So that one is, the acquired immunity comes from usually a vaccine or some sort of exposure. Some of the triggers that can, or some of the issues that can trigger an immune response, things like aging, things like if you already are immunocompromised, An immune response occurs also from something like you're having a reaction to something that you might be allergic to, which is different than an intolerance. And then factors that challenge our immune system is things like stress. And so we'll talk about a few of those examples. In the microbiome, it's just something to think about. And, this could be a whole presentation in of itself, but the microbiome is really looking at specifically the gut. And I'm talking more about the microbiome in terms of the gut connection and what kind of connection does our gut have to our overall immune system. In the within the gut, we have about 70% of our immune system contained there. And so it's important that we think about things like the probiotics and the prebiotics. How do we get more fiber into the diet? We notice that in sort of a general diet overall, we find that people are only getting about maybe 15 grams of fiber every day, where now we're really starting to recommend upwards to 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day. In terms of the microbiome itself, again, we're really looking at the gut and the overall health of the gut. And we find that when our food choices are not so great, that is impacting the immune system in the gut in that way. So we want to try to consume healthier foods, and we're going to talk about some examples of that. When it comes to vitamins and minerals, there's no really concrete evidence that any of these vitamins or minerals, and I've even seen some recent claims that supplements might make in terms of even protecting against COVID. Now, at this time, we don't know of any supplement or non-FDA approved types of supplements that are going to protect or prevent COVID at this time. So all we can really do is, our usual recommendations is a multivitamin. That's always going to give us, some, I would say, protection. But if we don't eat great, sometimes those vitamins and minerals can be of help. But to identify one particular vitamin or mineral that is good for immune systems, I would say, looking at our antioxidants. Our antioxidants are vitamin A, vitamin C, and vitamin E. It definitely couldn't hurt to get some of those into the diet, and those antioxidants are fighting for our immune system. In terms of herbal supplements, again, also limited research in terms of, what they really do for us. But we do know that there is some benefit to taking in things like what we consider phytochemicals. Phytochemicals are the protection that the plant gets while it's growing. And then in turn, when we eat the plant, we get the health benefits from that plant. Things like garlic, tea, catechins, echinacea, you've heard of those things in relationship to the possible protection of the immune system through our foods. Going back a little bit to vitamins and minerals, the one I didn't mention was zinc, and we're looking at a lot of research with zinc and vitamin D in protecting the immune system. There's also the concept of inflammation, and you can measure inflammation in the body. We do see that sometimes patients do have what they call a CRP measurement. And CRP stands for C-reactive protein. Now that will measure inflammation in the body. And in my experience in working with patients with diabetes, heart disease, kidney failure, all of these diseases have inflammatory response, and that's sort of the connection between all of these diseases. Because you're experiencing that inflammation associated with heart disease and diabetes and these other chronic diseases, what we find is that it's already taxing your immune system. And so how do we combat that? Is we can combat that by trying to meet the patient where they are at with the disease that they are experiencing. We're trying to help them. I'm trying to help them clean up their diet, so to speak, and looking at really how do we decrease inflammation in the body? Because if we can decrease inflammation in the body, we really can help our immune system to work a lot more efficiently. So again, going back to the vitamins, the antioxidant vitamins are vitamins A, vitamin C, and vitamin E. There's also selenium, which is not readily available or found in a lot of our foods, but we notice that selenium is also helpful. In terms of anti-inflammatory, I always find it interesting that a lot of people don't really know what anti-inflammatory foods are, but we can definitely focus on the omega-3 fatty acids in our diet for anti-inflammatory properties. So, you know, cleaning up the diet, we'll look at some specific recommendations in terms of foods and helping with the immune system. Stress, of course, you know, we are experiencing stress, a lot of us, at levels that we have never really experienced before. And so going with that stress is coming our weakened immune system. So taking care of that stress in our life, no matter how we do that, it definitely has an impact overall on the immune system. I was looking up different resources about what was the average amount of weight gain during the pandemic. And I saw anywhere during the weight gain during the pandemic has been anywhere between 15 to 30 pounds overall. So with that weight gain, we definitely are seeing, you know, people were stress eating. We're doing some emotional eating, and those factors all, you know, food is comfort for us. And I think food has provided comfort for the stress levels that we have been experiencing. Ways to manage stress. Now more than ever, we recognize the need to address mental health and emotional needs today. And that goes right along with our nutritional needs. We can do this with healthy eating and stress management. And so I wanted to just mention a few things here. It's much easier said than done in terms of the way that we manage stress, but I hope you can take up a hobby, take a walk, meditation or prayer, and breathing exercise. I also wanted to mention, which I didn't put on the screen here, I looked up the best apps for 2021 in terms of helping us to decrease our stress. So a couple of them that came up are Calm, C-A-L-M. Calm was voted the best overall. There's also one called Insight Timer, I Breathe, Tide, which is for sleep, which if you're having trouble sleeping, I've heard that's really good. Headspace has been good for emotional issues. And then for teens, there was one called Colorfy. So if you're interested in knowing any of those, I'll be sitting over there at that table. If you want to come up and ask me, I'd be happy to share those with you. In terms of boosting our health, a lot of what's been in the spotlight lately is plant-based diets. Now, not everybody's going to want to totally change their diet and adopt a plant-based diet. So we also know that even just flexitarian is a word that we're using, where sometimes you eat meat and sometimes you don't. So it's really less meat in the diet, but really increasing the plants in your diet. And by that, you are also decreasing inflammation in the body. Flexitarian is like, again, where you're eating meat. Sometimes that's the animal meat, and then other days you're not eating. So I feel like the flexitarian approach is the most flexible, if you will, and it's not as restrictive. The vitamin D has definitely been in the spotlight lately. Even some research from 2020 found that we do have vitamin D receptors that are in the immune system. And so those vitamin D receptors being present in the immune system does mean that we do have the need for vitamin D. And so low vitamin D can possibly decrease the immune system. If you have not had the opportunity to get your vitamin D levels checked, we would definitely recommend that you do that with your primary care physician and find out if you should be taking a vitamin D supplement of some sort. To boost your health, hopefully you will want to get some exercise. Now, exercise, you don't have to exercise to lose weight, but you do have to watch your calorie intake. So exercise really does come as a big help for our emotional and mental wellness. So I hope that some exercise can help to boost that for you. Also, getting adequate amounts of sleep. We know that if you're not sleeping well, that goes right along with a decrease in the immune system. Also, again, managing stress. And then finally, with the CDC guidelines, continue to do our proper hand washing, as that will help protect our immune system as well. Dark chocolate, I could do a whole presentation on dark chocolate. And so, dark chocolate, you know, it's going to depend on how much, but I'm a big advocate of including some dark chocolate every day in the diet. And it will definitely, dark chocolate, yes, has more antioxidants. That's why we recommend dark chocolate over milk chocolate. And the antioxidants, again, are protecting our immune system, lowering our stress. I don't know how you feel. I don't think anyone's ever said, Victoria, I feel stressed from eating dark chocolate. So I'm sure it doesn't happen. And then it can help to lower your blood pressure because you are decreasing your stress. So the recommendation for dark chocolate, a little bit each day, is definitely always on my list. So one of the last things I'll kind of mention here, and I do have a handout, so if you guys don't mind bringing up that handout for me, I wanted to talk for a few minutes to give you an idea of what the Mediterranean diet is. I know even, you know, maybe some of my students might be watching today. I teach for Pasadena City College as well as Cal State LA. And so I wanted my students to log in today and watch all the wonderful presenters that we had today. And they know that I'm always talking about the Mediterranean diet. I never shut up about the Mediterranean diet. And that's because it can really give us a lot of flexibility in our eating plan. And so it is plant-based. There is chicken, but red meat is probably only going to be once or twice a week. And so by the handout, you can kind of see the green section there is kind of going to be your G-O, and then your yellow section is going to be, you know, hold off a little bit, and then the red section will be kind of a stop. So, you know, the yellow section is going to be kind of proceed with caution, don't do too much, but we do want those lots of plants, or lots of a plant-based diet in that. High in fiber, I would say the Mediterranean diet. I know patients get confused on the diabetic diet and the renal diet, and, you know, what do I do for my high blood pressure? But ultimately, what I find in my experience in working with patients is that the Mediterranean diet is kind of covers many bases for that. I also want to say that the Mediterranean diet, and if you're interested in this handout, I'd be happy to email you a copy of that. But it is on the Live Well. If you just Google Live Well and the Mediterranean diet, this PDF will pop up. It is a 3-page handout. And it even has some recipes there on the back for you, and it has a shopping list. So I think it's kind of nice to be able to apply it that way. The other thing I like about the Mediterranean diet is it's red wine in moderation. You gotta like a diet that recommends a little bit of wine in the diet, healthy fats, and again, it's high in fiber and definitely lower in sugar. The other recommendation I can make with that, thank you. And so there's a couple little examples of the meals and kind of what you would eat on the Mediterranean diet. And again, what I feel I really like about this is it takes your own food preferences and puts them into this. So you're not eating foods that you're not familiar with. You're not eating foods that you don't like. I really feel that the Mediterranean diet covers your own food preferences, and you can tweak it as such. If you're looking for healthy recipes, on the very last slide of mine, it may not show up, but it's eatingwell.com. And Eating Well has so many amazing recipes there for you. And again, if you're looking for this handout on the Mediterranean diet, you can go to Live Well Mediterranean diet. It should come up for you. And again, if you have any questions, you can let me know. I'll be sitting over there at the table. So thank you everybody for listening today, and I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon.
Victoria, wonderful job. Thank you. She was great. So I was taking notes backstage, and what I heard loud and clear was the Mediterranean diet involves red wine, and that we can eat dark chocolate every day. 2 key takeaways. I'm sure there were other important information. I took notes as well, but those ones, they locked in. A lot of attention there. Wow, you know what? It is so true, though. What we eat makes such a difference in how we feel each and every day and each and every hour. I know, too, we had that wonderful lunch, and now you're sitting there. How y'all feeling? You doing okay? DJ Mike, give me a little something. Just take up the volume just a little bit. Feeling it. Name that tune. What is that, Mike? It's good. It was good. Yeah, that was nice. All we needed. Just needed a little something. Keep us going. Well, Victoria was wonderful. We have one more amazing speaker. And then just so you know, after that, we have some awards that we want to give out. Where are the Deltas? Deltas, can I hear you? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I can hear you. You stick around. You're on the agenda. You guys are coming up. And then we have a fantastic fashion show. Who doesn't love a good fashion show? When was the last time you even saw a fashion show? When was the last time you even bought new fashion? Come on. We're coming back. We're coming back strong. Our next speaker who is about to join us here is Rachel Fellows, and she's going to discuss what is your new, better human sustainability. You know, sustainability is one of those words that we hear so much in the vocabulary of the world, making businesses more sustainable, making our homes more sustainable. But what does it really mean, and how does that really apply to our individual lives? Well, that's what Rachel is going to be speaking about. She began her career at Accenture, and she now combines nearly 20 years of consulting experience with a master's in organizational well-being. She's got global clients that just span the world. They're in the areas of fashion and sports, technology, government, and other professional services. She is excited about the recent rise of sustainability in each and everyone's everyday lives, as well as the awareness that corporations and businesses are having about making their businesses more sustainable. She's the author of The Well-Being Narrative, and she became a working mom with the birth of her daughter during a COVID-19 pandemic. Take that. And with that, let's welcome Rachel Fellows to the stage. Rachel. And with that, we're now looking for Rachel. Mike, please. Grab the mic. Little music. We'll find Rachel. I guess as the MC, that's something I probably should have checked on before I actually walked out and introduced her, right? That's probably one of those, when you go to MC school, they say, make sure that the person you're about to introduce is actually behind stage. And I failed to do that, so I apologize. But I have that microphone right here. How are y'all doing? I'm pretty good at this. I'm coming down. Wait a minute. Yeah, you know what? There's no real ladylike way to do it. Ruby's still here? How are you, darling? I'm coming down. Watch out, everyone. There is a 103-year-old woman in this audience. And if we're going to talk about well-being, if we're going to talk about living to the ripe old age of, I don't know, even 99, I'd be excited. But how about 103? Welcome to my talk show, everybody. Ruby, is it okay if I talk to you? Aunt Ruby? Aunt Ruby, I'm over here. I came to talk to you. I thought I'd come and talk to you. I thought I'd like an expert in longevity. And you want to turn your chair around a little bit and make it a little more comfortable? Let's turn Ruby around a little bit. Here, Ruby, you stay right where you are. We'll turn you. Okay, there you go. This is what Oprah did. This is how she started. Just went out to the audience. Ruby, now, are you 103 going on 104, or did you just turn 103? 103. When's your birthday?
9/22/18.
Wow. Now, is everyone in your family centurions? Do they all live long lives, or is this just you?
No, just me and my family. I'm the only one living in the family.
The only one. How many children? How many great-grandchildren? Do you have any great-great?
I have two great kids, grandkids. I had one son, Guy Crowder. He was a photographer.
Wow.
And he passed away.
What is your secret? Because I have long since heard.
I told you, good food, good men. That's the secret. No more secret. That's the secret.
That will do it. I mean,
That's my best secret, ladies. Good food and good men.
but I have to ask about, you are beautiful. Beautiful. You radiate. Now, I've long since heard, black don't crack. Now, I've heard that. But right here, there is no cracks. I mean, if I was 103, you would be picking up my skin behind me and carrying it to where I am. Beauty secrets.
Good cook. I'm famous for my tea cakes. I make good tea cakes. I'm famous for tea cakes.
All right, so who is the whippersnapper here? Does she keep everybody in line?
Oh, heck yeah, without a doubt, yes. That's her niece right there. Y'all,
You live alone?
I live alone.
And her house is spotless? Who is this woman? Wait. Is this true or false, Ruby? You have done all your Christmas shopping. You have done all, you have 90, okay, well, there's too much information here. I'm an information overload. Let's just go back to this. It is not even Thanksgiving yet. Have you done all your Christmas shopping?
Christmas and wrap.
And it's wrapped. I got one thing to say. Damn! Everybody, standing ovation. Get on your feet for Ruby. Ruby, you are my hero. My hero. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story.
All Santa Claus got to do is come down the chimney.
Good man. She's got the... Oh, and she says that this is her favorite event every year. Is that true? Well, I'll tell you, I think we've got a new chairperson right here. Lena! And wait a minute. She did what?
Out of her own bathroom.
You remodeled your own bathroom? Is there anything this woman doesn't do? I'm still processing her Christmas shopping is done and wrapped. I can't even go down the bathroom trail right now. How are we doing? Oh, you want me? You ready now? Okay, well, I'm ready too. Should I just go up? Gentlemen, I can see the big, strong man. I'll take you, Brian. Come on. I just need a little lift. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Thank you very much. Not the first stage I've jumped. All right. Well,
many thanks for the very kind and warm introduction. As you say, I'm Rachel Fellows from Yoke, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you all today to talk about a topic that is so fond or close to both Lisa and my hearts, and that is well-being or thriving. And how to even begin to get close to either of those concepts in today's relatively crazy world. And I look forward to exploring that together in the next 15 or 20 minutes or so. But before I go there, I'd like to welcome you into my home. You can see I'm not in office today. You can also tell that there's artificial lights going on, there's a British accent, there's a jumper being worn. So I'm definitely, unfortunately, not in California climes. In fact, I'm sitting at my home in London. So I really welcome you here, and also I'm incredibly excited to be able to have a global conversation around this important topic. So before I get going into the content of this conversation, I thought it helpful to just lay out the 2 ways that I'd like to meet you today, and in return you might choose to meet me there as well. And the first layer is very much in a human or a personal form, so strip off the Rachel as a well-being consultant or whatever you would like to add to that mix, and just see me as a fellow woman. So in the background you might be able to spot a husband, a 19-month-old little girl called Olivia, and I mean, even that in itself shares a story, isn't it? Motherhood and resilience. But there's a few more stories I'd like to share to ultimately help offer you my resilience CV. and how by thinking through that, and I invite you to do the same, it actually helps reframe what we might choose to prioritise into 2022 and beyond. And the second way I'd like to meet you in our conversation today is as a fellow colleague, a fellow leader, and just thoughtfully using a few examples, including the work that we've been doing together at Aeon, to think through how do I lead this agenda in my organisation, even if it's not technically my responsibility to do so. So whether that's as simple as role modelling, whether that's actually through the way that we think about team performance, or some slightly bolder organisational thinking. And hopefully that will lead you with some inspiration to start to take resilience, human sustainability as a concept into your life going forward. So let's start very cleanly with the personal bit. And before we get going, I thought I'd just actually coin or define well-being, resilience and human sustainability. All words I think I've used interchangeably so far already. And it's helpful not to assume that any of us really know what they mean, because we are using them regularly, but many of us haven't actually stopped to say, gosh, if I was asked the exam question, could I answer it? So let's just go back to basics on that one, and then I'll offer you my resilience CV as an exercise. So well-being. When I was doing my masters, there's lots of convoluted and very complex definitions, but one of the most helpful and simple ones was seeing well-being as a seesaw, with two key drivers. One driver being satisfaction or eudaimonic well-being, and the other driver being happiness or hedonic well-being. And basically life being a dance, where in certain situations you find satisfaction and not happiness, or happiness and not satisfaction. Maybe you even find both, or maybe neither. And this constant dance is ultimately where work-life balance, or the concept of balance, came from. When we then tried to bring well-being into the organisational context, there was a bit of resistance. And actually, most of the resistance came from not really understanding how or if there was a business case for the seesaw. So as a result, we borrowed a slightly different concept from engineering, namely resilience. And resilience actually started off as a term, still does, that reflects how much pressure we can put a metal under before it snaps. And we thought, gosh, wouldn't that be really helpful to apply that to a human being, albeit a little bit clumsy and crude. But there's something in that, especially as we overlay neuroscience and we better understand the conditions that humans need to bounce back from moments of stress. Or maybe more interestingly, bounce forward into places that better serve our resilience and our well-being going forward. Now, you may say, that's it, that's enough. But there's something really interesting been going on in the last 18 to 24 months that highlights that it's actually not enough. And let's use a simple example of lockdown. In the UK, we've had 3 cycles of lockdown. The first one, most of us thought we'd attack, interesting language, attack via resilience model. Right, I'm going to get my head down, push on through, and I will survive this. And actually, that's not resilience, that's endurance. And if you do that, you have little space to get your head up, to look at the things that are working, not working, reflect and refine. So actually, come lockdown 2, definitely lockdown 3, most of us are exhausted. So within that mix, there's something else going on. Something we like to coin human sustainability, or the art of sustaining our well-being and resilience over our lifetimes. So pinch of salt. Many of us are going to be working for 60, 70 years. Many of us are going to have very long retirement phases. How do we keep ourselves in a state of happiness, thriving, satisfaction, and ultimately having the ability to overcome again and again the challenges that come our way? And I'm just now going to frame all of that into something called the Resilience CV. And I'm going to pick out a framework that we refer to as the Human Sustainability Index framework for humans, for persons, for individuals. Before I do that, I want to share 2 really clear stories from my own resilience journey. And the first of which actually happened about 5 years ago. So before, gosh, is that now 2015, 2016? Before that, how would I describe my resilience CV? Probably stereotypical, type A. I was working at a consultancy, super physically fit. I was mentally sharp. I was doing triathlons at the weekend. And then something happened. I was actually cycling home on my birthday, which sounds a very dramatic story, but I got run over by a drink driver. And that individual broke quite a considerable part of my body. And also I had PTSD off the back of it. That's part of the story. What's the actual resilience story going on? Now I'm going to frame some of that into these 8 pathways. I'm just going to list those 8 pathways now, and then share what actually happened to me during my recovery phase and how beneficial that's been to the rest of my life. So if you had a piece of paper in front of you and you were to draw a spider chart with 8 prongs or a wheel, maybe you could just sketch out these 8 titles onto that wheel. So number 1, meaning and purpose. The reason why we do what we do in our lives. Number 2, mental health. Our cognitive ability to cope with the stresses of life. Number 3, emotional health. Our ability to be in tune with our feelings and keep them in perspective. Number 4, our physical health, or our deeper ability to sustain healthy functioning and fitness in our lives. Number 5, our effectiveness, or our competency in action in our life. Number 6, our relationships, or our ability to relate to others in a really healthy way. Number 7, our community, so our inclusion and contribution to the broader society. And number 8, our financial health, or our sense of security in our financial choices. So basically, if you were to ask me to study, which I did, all the different ways that we can carve out human sustainability in our lives, those are them. And let's just go back to my story now. So you can probably see, looking at your list now, that the pre-2015 Rachel very much lent on mental health, physical health, and I had an amazing job, so financial health was in a really good place. However, suddenly losing my physical health, suddenly losing my ability to mentally contribute to my work for a period, and suddenly having a bit of a challenge around my financial health, made me realise a number of things. And I think this is where this human sustainability concept gets really interesting, because I didn't realise how much all of these 8 things are interrelated. I'd learnt in my master's this word holistic, but had I really understood that if I overdrove meaning and purpose, I might negatively affect mental health. Or maybe a more apt example, if I overdid physical health through my triathlon championing, I actually maybe negatively affect my ability to create a really robust way of being emotionally healthy, even if I have a nasty accident. So it may sound a bit dramatic, but I very much remember lying on the tarmac and going, gosh, I've got quite a narrow approach in my life to the way I manage it and my own resilience. And if all is well and I make a healthy recovery, I'm going to choose to lean into the things that I've been ignoring, to lean into my blind spots, and really think through how I can begin to love and enjoy community as a pathway, and actually weight it in my mind, my mindset, with equal depth and importance as mental health, or meaning and purpose, or financial health. And this for me was a huge penny drop moment. Really understanding that robustness, especially as a woman, with the hormonal cycles, with the need to take leave for various reasons in different chapters, different seasons in our lives, this sense of having 8 chair legs or 8 table legs set out in front of me will enable me to have a far more whole life as a woman and as a man. What this then led to was an incredibly rich and diverse life experience. I dove into things I never thought I would. The Californians amongst you might even laugh, because I actually went to Burning Man Festival just to top it all off as I was exploring these concepts. But ultimately, what it did give me was a very diverse, resilient CV. And I knew exactly what I needed to do under each of these pathways, and I knew and highlighted the mistakes I've been making. So for example, I would always say on a Friday night, if I had been feeling emotionally all over the place, wobbly, not sure about where things were going, I typically do one of two things. I'd go for a run to sweat it out, or I'd go for a drink with friends. Now I know that neither of those things help me from an emotional health perspective. In fact, both of them add stress hormones into my system that actually disturb my natural emotional regulation overnight and make me wake up feeling a little bit more imbalanced. So slowly unpicking, reflecting on the way that your different pathways interrelate, the choices that you are making, is a hugely beneficial exercise. So ultimately, we start to look towards holistic approaches, robust approaches to drive a more whole way of creating resilience in our lives. And the connection with little Olivia over there was having gone through that and having spent 4 years really cultivating that sense of groundedness in my approach. When motherhood came, I was very different in the way that I responded to it. It felt easier to transition from one chapter into motherhood, back to work, shifting work. So now I see change in an incredibly different way. I enjoy it more than I ever did before because I have this capacity to dance around it, dance with it, choose not to go there, choose to go there. So hopefully that's a really nice exercise, but it could be useful just to spend some time to look at those 8 pathways and just think, gosh, where do I think I am on those? What sort of resilience examples in my life highlight how I tend to overuse or underuse different aspects? What might I choose to actually lean more into going forward? The final thought I just leave there is ultimately on the personal level, we still don't know quite how much change human beings can take. So the last 18 months, 24 months, COVID baby, keeping a business going, all of that interesting stuff has been a huge experiment for me, and I'm sure you all feel exactly the same. What we do know from the organisations that we work with, or the people, I should say, that we work with, is that most people, unlike maybe my bike accident story, do not have a trauma moment to really drive down their resilience score. Instead, it is a far more interesting gradual drip, drip, drip effect against these 8 pathways. Sometimes so subtle that we don't even notice it. 5-10 years later, gosh, I'm suddenly feeling really tired and drained. So all I do is invite you to be incredibly honest with yourself about where you are and start to seek out ways that you can be more holistic and robust in your own approach. Now let's turn to the organisational layer, a slightly and more subtle, different way of thinking about it. How do I have to consider this stuff for my own career and my role within organisational contexts? Well, I'm sure many of us have heard the acronym of VUCA, but effectively, at a human, team, organisational, global level, it is really, sorry to use the term again, unprecedented with the layers and layers of change that we are experiencing. And actually, if you look at all the other things that are driving there, the talent shortages, the digitalization, etc., what we as humans, as women, really need to own and protect is our resilience, is our sustainability, in order to enable ourselves to change, to constantly reinvent, to move with the seasons, and that can be our competitive advantage story. So not only for ourselves, but also in who we recruit. Are we asking these of the people that we're interested in bringing into the mix, of how we support the great talent in our teams already, and the broader organisational thinking around this topic? And that was what was so delighting when we started working with Aon, with Lisa. You may know Lisa's great colleague, Stacey. So they really started to get this. And they really started to see that what if we start to guide our leadership team, the top 250 at Aon globally, through this process of being aware of their own 8 pathways, and also having a line of sight beyond the self into other factors, such as how do we build resilience as a capability or a muscle within our teams and our organizations. And that kind of really bold investment, that bold thinking, is what organizations are doing brilliantly. And the clever thing that Lisa did in particular was weave it beautifully into the inclusion journey. So what I know from the data that we capture through something we frame as the Human Sustainability Index is that women tend to underestimate their resilience by about 20%. I don't need to mention that men maybe overestimate it by about the same amount. But the reason this stuff is challenging for us is because we have a slightly differing rhythm each month. We have seasons, we have career breaks. It's actually harder to get used to exactly where we think we're going to be. However, when we start to really think about those 8 pathways, we can build more awareness and more accuracy behind that self-judgment or that self-awareness too. So when we have differing needs of women or different groups in an organization, we can then get more sophisticated as leaders, as role models, as how we then begin to say, gosh, what are we actually going to do to encourage people to prepare for these seasons or these different moments in their resilience cycles, to recover from them? And how do we maybe integrate this into their overall performance objectives? As many performance frameworks now post-COVID are balancing out the ultimate outcome and behavioral impacts that we're all excited about. So the ultimate objective of women in organizational spaces is to really start to think about, how do I bring a whole sense of self, or all 8 pathways, to my working and non-working lives? And within that context, I would just like to leave you with probably 4 key things to think about, in addition to the resilience CV and some of the team and organizational thinking that I've touched on through the Aeon example. One is, please deeply reflect on what we're all calling the COVID calibration or recalibration. Genuinely, what have you really learnt about all 8 pathways of yourself? So some of us are still a little bit murky in that mix. So really pausing and thinking through, gosh, certain aspects of myself are in a far better or a more challenging place than I ever thought. And if I was to really think through what I now need to lean into to build my resilience going forward, what would that be? The second thing I'd ask you to really think through is, what am I aiming for from a role modeling perspective now? So have I inadvertently promoted endurance, for example, in my team? How do I maybe reframe that? How do I maybe be more okay with the experimental language of someone or even myself trialing a pathway I've never even considered trying to build a skill set around before? The third thing I'd ask you to think about, especially within this sort of this audience today, is this sort of strength in resiliencehood. Now, we are still not 100% clear on who is driving this agenda in our own communities. So we accidentally, especially when we're tired, maybe seek validation or feedback from people who are maybe promoting the burnout model, the endurance model, or different ways of thinking that aren't actually resilience at the heart. So being really thoughtful, who is in your resiliencehood, your sisterhood, your resiliencehood? Who do you want to go to constantly get that really fantastic feedback now to keep you on the pathway towards building a capacity for change and your own human sustainability approach? And the fourth thing I'd ask you to do is to start to talk about this at the team and the organizational level. Start to expect this as a global standard. Start to ask these questions in interviews of interviewers. And let's start to see where the next 5 years, hopefully there's not another accident in that mix, but let's start to see where we can take this agenda together. So hopefully that's been a useful 15, actually we're closer to 20 minutes now, so apologies, but a 20-minute conversation to take you through your own personal resilience CV and to reflect on the organizational and team layer and how we can all begin to drive change together. Thank you for having me. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Well, that was jolly informative. Anytime anyone speaks British to me, I listen more intently. I just believe that somehow they sound smarter than I do. So I don't know. Is that just me? Anyone else? I just love a British accent. I could fall in love with a man with an accent and a uniform. I would need nothing else beyond those 2 qualifications. I'd be fine. Australian accent, firefighter uniform, we'll live happily ever after. All right, without further ado, though, let me quit talking and let's do something fantastic and fun right now. And that is, we would be remiss, perhaps, if we did not do what we're about to do next, because we are in Pasadena. It's almost the beginning of the year. The air is smelling like roses. You know where I'm going, don't you? Let's play some fun music and bring on the Rose Court, the queen and her court, the princesses, for this year's Tournament of Roses Parade. Come on, ladies. Come on. Come on. Yeah. They have a little system where they all line up. They know their work. All right, but you know what? Let's have a little fun, shall we? I like to just throw things on you. Ready, Nadia?
Yeah.
Everybody, little music, little walking music. Let's all see. We're all going to walk. Okay. All right. And they're all going to model the exact same fashion. Are you ready? Would you like me to lead it off, or do you feel you could do this? Okay, I'll lead it off. All right. But again, if you're going to do this, I need some attitude.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I need some swagger. You got the attitude? You can go whatever order you want. The one with the most attitude goes first. That's going to be you. I'll give you a little example that I'll let you do. I mean, if you're going to walk it, you know, I really feel you got to put some hip in it, right, ladies?
Okay.
You know, and then there's the crisscross where you can do the one in front of the other like that, okay? And then the most important thing when you get to the end is that you strike a pose, right? So when you get down here, I'll just you know, I've been to a lot of little events. When you get down here, it's a pose with some attitude. And if you don't do it good, the deltas will tell you. All right, so if you don't strike a pose, these divas can tell you a pose, what a pose is, all right? And then you do the turn, and then you walk back this way, all right? Okay, you got it? And then when the person in front of you gets right here, like to this tree, then the next one has to walk. Y'all with me? All right, music. Let's hear it for the court. Don't forget the attitude, and the pose. Yes. Okay, now you next. Yeah, you're next. All right, this is the one they said is kind of sassy, so keep your eye on her. All right, let's see her go. And bam. All right, and next.
Oh my God.
Oh, right there. She's got it. Now that's a walk. Oh, yeah. That's a princess for you. Okay, who's next? Oh, this is all good. Fantastic. Yes. Work it, work it. Oh, now look at that. Now that's the model walk if I ever saw it. See how she's like, she like walks like a gazelle. That's fantastic. Okay, who we got next? Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. You notice they all have similar fashion sense. They all seem to have the same style, don't you? And here you have, I believe that's our queen. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Rose Queen Nadia Chung of La Cañada High School. Let's give it up for the court, shall we? They had no idea I was going to do that to them. So thank you very much. I was going to give commentary on your fashion choices, but I realized you had no choice in them. But here's a little something that you may not know about the courts. If one of them wears something that isn't regulation, or they forget something that they're supposed to be wearing, what's the rule, Nadia?
We all don't wear it.
Exactly. So if one forgets their necklace, none of them can wear the necklace. So who so far out of you has been the most, shall we say, lackadaisical?
You know what? We won't say. So when somebody forgets
it's like
something,
a cone of silence.
it is.
That's sisterhood,
right?
For you. That's
So.
sisterhood. Queen Nadia, would you mind introducing the wonderful court? Do you mind doing it? You know all the girls better than I do at this point. So why don't you start with Sassy right here? Okay, who do we have here?
Awesome. So Janine Briggs from Marshall Fundamental High School. Next, we have Abigail Griffith from Pasadena High School. Jada Walden from La Cañada High School. I'm Nadia Chung from La Cañada High School. Swetha Somasundram from Arcadia High School. Next is Ava Feldman from South Pasadena High School. And Mackenzie Street from Flint Ridge Sacred Heart.
This is fantastic. All right, who's the oldest?
Oh,
And
Abby,
how
Abby.
old are you? Wow. She's all of 18. Yeah, okay. I'm feeling really good. Who's the youngest?
I am? Yes. Swetha is the youngest.
And how old are you?
I'm 17.
17. Oh, to be 17 again. You guys are all beautiful. We'll be seeing so much more of you. I'm so excited because, you know, last year we missed you. I mean, not you individually, but the collective you and all the things that you do around the community. So you guys are going to have to do twice as much work. I don't know if they told you that. Twice as many appearances. They all just came from school. Don't they all look fantastic? Did y'all wear this outfit to school or was there a quick change? You did? That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Nadia, do you have a little something you'd like to say?
Yes, I do.
Okay, step ahead a little bit so everyone can see it.
Awesome.
Step ahead.
So on behalf of myself and the entire Royal Court, we really just want to say that we are honored to be here and we are so grateful to be representing the Tournament of Roses today. We want to recognize all of the corporate sponsors who have made this event possible because we know that all of these sorts of events contribute to women empowerment and health, which in turn allows our families to be healthy and empowered. So we're excited to be able to help present awards today, and I'll go ahead and pass the program back to Wendy.
Now that's a queen for you. Thank you, Nadia. Thank you so much. Well, we are indeed honored because we have a couple of wonderful recognitions that we'd like to do at this point, and the ladies will be helping me as well. First, it is the Pasadena chapter of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Girls, are you in the house? Oh, I love it. The Deltas have been such a dedicated volunteer group. They have shared their expertise. They've served as moderators. They've chaired committees. They've provided educational training, all for the 20 years of the conference. Actually, the 21st, if we think about it, because you're always working ahead. The Deltas show up and they show out. And if you cross one of them, you may be you may be facing a showdown of some sort. So just watch out because the Deltas are there. We are honored. We're so honored to have such selfless women. They usually don't want to take credit for the good work they do. That is the true testament of someone who knows the value of true community service. But we have twisted their arms, their red jacketed arms right now. And we are going to honor them. President Leanne Evans, where are you, Leanne? Are you backstage or are we calling you up front? Here she comes. Little music, please. Little music for that walk on up. I need a little sassy. You guys have a theme song? You got anything? Mike, where's DJ Mike? Give me a little something. This is walk-up music. Yeah, do that. Oh, that's good. Come on, girls. Come on, girls. Now we're all doing it. Hey, Leanne, how are you? Come on up here. First of all, how are you?
I'm great.
How do you feel about the conference?
It's wonderful. I'm just elated to be here.
I love this jacket. Look at this. How do you get the jacket? Is it from the very beginning? How long can you wear one of these jackets?
For a lifetime. Once
you're in, you're in.
You're in. It's a lifetime commitment.
Lifetime commitment. Y'all lifers is what I'm hearing, right? They don't let you out, right? I always say you got to stick with the people that know you well because they know all your secrets. So you want to be friends with them forever, right? Of course. That's the Deltas for you. Well, we are so excited to honor you guys. I believe we have the award right here. Look how beautiful that is. Oh, I love this. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you just a couple of questions, though. Step out right here for me for a moment. And I believe there are a number of proclamations here. We won't make you open them all up, but I think basically everybody who's ever held a public office in Pasadena has signed something for you, for your wall. But it's okay with the music for a moment. I would just love to know a little bit more about this group right here, these women, what they mean to you and what they mean to this community.
Well, we have been in Pasadena area since 1961. We are servicing our community through our 5 permitted thrusts. And we're just so honored to be here today.
What is it like to be the leader of such a powerful group?
Well, it's wonderful. I have a great group in my chapter. We have over 66 members, and we're here every day. They listen, I listen, and we work.
You get down to work. You get down to work. Is there any time for play?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I like you guys already. I love your spirit. I love your energy. And for someone standing on the stage, can I say that I have felt your energy today at this conference? So thank you, Deltas. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everything that you do. And I love that jacket. I'm going to have to work on getting me one of those one of these years. Thank you so much. Let's hear it for the Deltas. Our next award is our corporate award. Cliff, come stand next to me. Where's Cliff? Cliff is coming. It says right here. Oh, well, there you are, Cliff. I heard the thud and Cliff appeared. Cliff, it's so good to see you. Methodist Hospital has been a thriving partner and a vital element of this community and really this conference. And it really is the epitome of what constitutes a great friendship and a great partnership. When you find a corporate or an individual sponsor that contributes what Methodist Hospital has done and what Cliff has done, well, then you really know that you have a tremendous friend and a tremendous ally in this community. You have genuinely been a true partner for this conference for so many years. And the success of this conference requires volunteers like the Deltas and sponsors like Methodist Hospital to be able to pull all of this together. So we would like to present Methodist Hospital with the Treasured Hands Corporate Award and recognize Methodist Hospital for all they do, not only here in the community, but for this conference in per se. So, ladies and gentlemen, Cliff, the big guy here, and Methodist Hospital, come on out. You're gonna hand this to me, and then I'm gonna hand this to you. See how we did that? That's very fancy. Cliff, would you like to say a couple of things?
This thing's gonna fall.
I know. How about I hold that?
There we go.
I will. Queen, feels like a queen duty. Hold that. Princesses?
Oh,
There you go. There you go. Cliff, microphone.
thank you, Wendy. I would just say we're always so proud to be part of this great event, and that this is not about us or me or Methodist Hospital. I just want to make sure that I thank my good friend and the actual founder and creator of this event, Leanne Kennedy. None of this happens without Leanne. As I've said many, many times before, she is a force of nature and one of those few people in the world that you cannot say no to. So I'm here every year for Leanne and for the purposes that she has instilled in this event. And that's the same as Methodist Hospital. We're here to serve the community, help improve the health status of everyone in the San Gabriel Valley. And I think this conference goes a long way to bring services and information to an incredibly eclectic group of participants. And I would just encourage you all to spread the word, get people involved for next year, encourage them to attend, because I think this really serves as a benefit to everybody and makes everyone's lives a greater value here in the community. So thankful to be a part of it. We'll be here next year and looking forward to another successful conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Cliff. That's a partner. They already said they're going to be here next year. We appreciate you and all you do. Okay, you can give him back his award now. All right. And Cliff, how would you like to be escorted off the stage by 7 lovely, talented, smart, brilliant, diverse women? Yes, I'll come as well. All right, so walk off music, maestro. Let's get them off the stage. Thank you guys so much for everything that you do. Thank you, ladies. Well, they were going to escort you. You really missed out on that opportunity. Ladies first. I do love that, Cliff. Thank you so much. And again, you know, we can't say enough as we get to kind of the, I don't want to say the conclusion. We still have a fantastic fashion show coming up, but we can't say enough about Leanne and all of the work that she has done to bring us together and what has been an unprecedented time and an unusual year, but making this such a memorable conference for all of us. So we want to now introduce the DJ who has been rocking songs. It's a voice with dulcet tones, a man that you know a man that you recognize. I know that you've heard him before. He's become a very good friend to me today. We're talking about DJ Jeff Gill. Jeff has never met a mic that he didn't like. He's also provided us with music throughout the day. He's the former KJLH radio personality, and he continues to DJ. He's not DJing while Jeff's doing a whole bunch of different things. He's a home buyer, he's an investor, he's a real estate broker, so if you're in the market, Jeff could be your guy, and he could probably even spin a couple tunes while he sells you a new house. Anyway, we are so excited to have DJ Jeff, and without further ado, I'm going to bring him on up, and he is going to give you a fashion show that you won't soon forget. For you at home, sitting there in your soft pants, will enjoy the fashion show as well, because you know what, ladies? It's time to get dressed up again. And isn't it nice? Isn't it nice? Hey, it's been my pleasure. I hope to see all of you at the end of the conference, but it's been my pleasure to be your MC today, and thank you for welcoming me so warmly into your homes and into this conference room right here. So thank you. Hey, DJ Jeff. It's all about you, baby. Come on up. Oh, you were gonna do it from right down there? Where are you gonna do this?
I'll make my way up there.
Well, come on up. I gave the whole introduction.
I didn't know I was gonna get spotlights.
Yeah, we got to put you up in the spotlights. I said that you're an investor, real estate broker, DJ. You got it all going on.
Well, we have a lot of things going on. We try and serve the community as best we can. Sometimes it's about making people dance or just enjoy themselves, like you.
Well,
hey, give Wendy a hand. She's been doing her thing up here.
Thank you.
She's the hardest working lady I've ever seen up here today.
Well,
you are doing it, and you are a pro. And it's an honor to be up here with you.
Well, I'm going to turn the duties over to you because I believe there is some fashion show magic about to happen.
You know what? 24 karat magic in the air.
Ooh, I feel a music cue coming on. Take it away, everybody.
Okay. And once again, a hand for Wendy. Okay, so I believe next we have a performance by It's Your Season, because this is your season. SoCal Women's Conference, the 20th anniversary. How about a hand for that one more time? Come on. Show your love, okay? It's Your Season. It's a group of friends who have danced together since they were in high school. So we're talking about, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago. You guys didn't get that one. Okay, you'll catch it in a minute. The season of the pandemic inspired them to dance together and create their own season. All right, so coming up, we have the performance of the It's Your Season dancers, and if they're ready, are they ready? We're going to bring them to the stage right about now. A hand for the It's Your Season dancers. Let's welcome them. Come on. Put your hands together. Put your hands together. Put your hands together. Oh, yeah. What a great performance. Give it up for the It's Your Season dancers. So well done. Well done. It's always a treat. Our last event on today's agenda is the fashion show. We've been waiting for this all day, so get ready. It's always a highlight. Elizabeth Ellis, the director of the fashion show, who you just saw on stage. She's going to rejoin us right now. Elizabeth Ellis is a native of Pasadena and a professional dancer. She teaches dancing. She's been a banking professional for many, many years. And in addition to being a civic leader, she loves serving as the producer of SoCal Health Conference Fashion Show. So let's bring back to the stage one more time and a big welcome for Elizabeth Ellis.
Good evening, good afternoon, everyone, and greetings for you being here, taking the time to learn more, do more, and participate in our 20th year. So congratulations for you being here. We hope you guys have a wonderful time. I wrote a little writing in the program, so take the time to read it. So now we're ready to begin and have fun, and just sit back, relax, and enjoy. We first will begin with Wilburn Sisters Designs. She's a designer that's extraordinary, got her unique gift for designing from her mother, Elizabeth, along with 6 other sewing sisters. Her creative styles are Afrocentric with an international flair crossing all cultures. Help me at this moment welcome our wonderful models as they strut. This show will be fabulous. Come on, models, let's go. All right, Rona. Oh my gosh. You strut, girl. Weren't they awesome? Oh my goodness, beautiful colors. Yes, all seasons. These clothes are for all seasons. Yes. And at this time, we will bring up Valerie and her daughter. Just lost my page. And they will be modeling. You Are So Beautiful, Unique Boutique is a fashion apparel design studio in Riverside, California. Valerie and her daughter, Asia Johnson, are a gifted mother and daughter design team. Together, they are a collection of one-of-a-kind signature creations that can be transformed in 7 different ways, designed to assist you in maximizing your unique God-given beauty. Let us welcome Unique Boutique. As I continue to read a little bit more of Unique Boutique, Valerie Johnson is a fashion coordinator, artist, image consultant, and interior decorator. She has been in business and in fashion industry for the last 25 years. In 1990, Valerie attended LA Trade Tech, where she studied fashion, interior design, and merchandising. She became an instructor for FIDM. That's the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandise. Let us welcome again. Amen. Valerie Boutique. All right, all right. Let's give it up for the models. Yes, yes. Hazel Bags and Apparel. Hazel Solomon Jimmy established Hazel Bag in 2001. She has raised thousands of dollars for women, children's organizations on the West Coast, including City of Hope, Cystic Fibrosis Teen Challenge, California Council of the Blind, Emblem Clubs, Pasadena Symphony, and many more. Hazel is international member since 2010 and was recognized by Business Life magazine in 2016 as Women Achievers honoree. And let us welcome Hazel Bags and Apparel. Yes, beautiful job. Lovely models. Yes, you guys did a wonderful job. We're not finished. We still have a little bit more to go. So continue to enjoy the fashion show. Yeah. As we're waiting, how's everyone doing out there? You doing well? Let me know by hand clapping. Yes. You guys been having a wonderful time thus far? Yes, yes. It's a beautiful venue and a beautiful event. So now let's continue as we go through the remainder of our fashion show. Thank you. I like that acting. They cleaned him up really nicely, didn't they? Oh my goodness, that was interesting. And I enjoyed it. I'd like to thank my fashion show committee. They worked hard and diligent to put this on for your enjoyment, and they made me proud. I want to thank all the models and all the designers that put forth the clothes and did everything just in fashion and a spirit of excellence. So I say thank you. At this point, we were going to close out the fashion show, but we're not finished yet. You'll witness all the designs that the models are going to wear. They'll be walking with a designer that created. So we're going to do our designer walk and strut. Yes, so give us a moment and we'll be ready to roll. So we're going to have the designers come out. And we have Valerie and Asia. You are so beautiful, unique boutique with her models and designs. Give it up, give it up, give it up. And we have Hazel Bags and Apparel. Hazel Solomon Jimmy with Hazel Bags and Apparel. Give it up, give it up. And her models. And her design. All right, all right. Beautiful, beautiful. Work it, girls. Work it, girls. All right. And our last designer is Wilburn Sisters Design. Come on, Carolyn. All right, here we have Carolyn Wilburn, the designer of Wilburn Sisters Design. Work it, Carolyn. Go, girl. All right. I love that design on you. Mm. Wow. Now that's tough. That's tough. I love it. All right. Gorgeous, gorgeous. All right, work it. Beautiful colors. Carolyn Wilburn Sister Designs. And if we can have all the models come out and let's walk one more strut. Come on, guys. This is your day. Work it. All the models come out with the designers and work it, work it, work it. Hazel, come on out, come on out. Yeah, work it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wonderful, wonderful. And that's it, girls. We got more? All right, let's do it. There's more, they ain't finished. They're getting used to this showing off. Come on now, let's go, let's go. Oh, I love it, I love it. All right. Valerie and Asia. We give it up for them. All right. We don't want to miss anyone. Come on, come on. All right, guys. I hope you guys loved it. I hope you guys enjoyed everything that took place today. And I'm going to turn this over to Jeffrey.
Hey, this has been fun. Remember, it's your season. So I was back there getting inspired. I said, I want my pant leg up too. I was gonna let one sleeve up, do my thing. But as a man, you gotta make sure that you have your belly out, so you gotta lean forward. You know what's up. Hold on. Where my girls at? All right, we've had a great time today. Once again, my name is Jeff Gill. I want to thank a whole lot of people right now because they gave me 3 pages of people to thank because it took a lot of people to put this thing together. It's been 20 years for the SoCal Women's Conference, so we're going to take our time and get through this. Can I get an amen on that? All right. It's your season, and we had a great day today, and we want to thank our very incredible sponsors because without sponsors, you can't do something like this on this level. First class. This is first class. Come on now, look at these screens. Look at this stuff here. Oh, wow, that's me. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Our presenting sponsors, Aon, want to thank them, and Methodist Hospital. Our gold sponsors, City National Bank. Silver sponsors, Los Angeles County Supervisor Catherine Barger, Julia Gao, Tina Hostovich, Capital Group. Bronze sponsors, City of Hope, Southern California Gas Company, Ellen Silk Screening, YWCA of San Gabriel Valley, Pasadena City College. Janet Braun, AT&T. Linda Williams. Also friends that help support. Northrop Grumman, Blue Shield of Southern California, of California actually. Sandra Choi, Edgewood Realty Partners, Pasadena Community Foundation, Neighbors, City of Pasadena, CHAP Media, let's talk about them, Outlook Newspaper, the Arroyo Pasadena Media, the Pasadena San Gabriel Valley Journal. We also want to thank, go ahead, get that clap out. You don't got to hold your claps back. Hey, we also want to thank Brighton Jewelry for their gifts for all the speakers and honorees. So a big hand for Brighton Jewelry. I got to give a big thank you to Wendy Birch for emceeing this event tonight. Without her, this would have been a different event. Wendy, you did your thing, okay? Also want to thank Jerry Suddeth, Camille Dudley, and Sharon Billingsley for the booths out there. Hopefully you patronized the booths, bought something nice for yourself or somebody as we enter this season of giving. I also want to thank Andre Ellis and Angela Williams for doing all the decorations, these lovely trees and things that we got going on here, man. It's absolutely fabulous. Want to thank Char Bland for logistics. Also, we just saw Elizabeth Ellis was here just a minute ago, and her team for doing this entertainment and the fashion show. A big hand for Elizabeth. I also want to thank Juanita West Tillman and Lynette West Carter for the green room. Jerry Robin for the magazine. Chuck Pulliam and Ron Carter for the man cave. And while you were here, there was actually a virtual man cave that some of you saw that weren't actually in the room with us, but it happened virtually. We also want to thank Irina Melkomian and Benita Bennett for producing the Young Women's Commission Conference, which also happened simultaneously to this main conference that we had here. Beverly Nelson and Serge Nelson for coordinating all the volunteers, of which there were many, so we thank you for serving and being a volunteer. Also want to thank Sandra Ware for the VIP lounge, Noreen Sullivan for coordinating the speakers and serving as the station manager here, the stage manager. Also want to thank Deborah Carter, Shira Arrington for public relations, Denise Morey for being chief operating officer. Also want to thank Christopher Morey for the website and much of the tech behind the conference. You know, it's a tech world now, so that's a skill that, hey, can't go without it nowadays, all right? So a big thank you for that. Want to thank Mr. Sam Yarborough, I'm sorry, for being a sidekick to the founder here, Lena Kennedy, okay? Yeah, we're going to do a big thank you for her. Want to thank Danny Parker for being part of the team. Also Christopher Morey and Savannah Morey, the grandchildren of Lena Kennedy, for their tireless hours as volunteers. And they did their thing today. And let us all thank the architect of this conference for the last 20 years. So let's give a big thank you and celebrate Miss Lena Kennedy. So this is going to conclude this event today, but be sure to patronize the wonderful fashion designers and the local artists whose work were displayed today. Rhea Owens and also Kenny. It's got some art out there. I'm going to make sure I stop by and take a look. And be sure to complete the evaluation form that will be emailed to you. And we'll be sure to see you next year. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and make sure you get your groove on. DJ Invisible Man, give them something.